Hi boys and girls, this is Mrs. Mouton and I am doing this video to show you the alternative way of doing long division. Not all of you have learned this, but you're welcome to try it if you're having a problem with the other way. A lot of you have mastered the traditional way of doing long division using the little Does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers and shakes to help keep the steps in mind. But this is an alternative way that might make it a little bit easier for some of you that are struggling. First, before we start, you need to remember what long division is, or what division is. Division is simply repeated subtraction, but you're subtracting out your numbers in groups. And so what's a better way to look at groups than to look at multiplication, because we know multiplication makes groups out of numbers. I apologize if my voice changes as I walk away from the computer. I'm actually doing this on the Promethean board at school to make it a little bit easier. Because we are looking at groups, we make a list over here because we're going to take out the number in groups called the quotients and multiples list. This list could actually help you with your multiplication as well, but we're going to use it for division. We start with 0 because we said sometimes the number we're dividing into will be smaller than the divider, and the biggest number we'll get to is actually 0. So we need to start with 0. And then the next one will depend on what your divisor is. So I'll need to give you your problem first. So the first problem that we're going to do is 324 divided by 2. That's the traditional way that you write it. So now we're going to put our quotients and multiples. One group of 2 gives you 2. Two groups of 2 gives you 4. So 1 times 2 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, and you keep on going. 3, 6, 4, 8. Remember, it's important to line them up, because that way when you go back to look at your list, you'll know which quotient and multiple go together. 5, 10, 6, 12, 7, 14, 8, 16, 9, 18, and remember the final number that we want to do is 10, which will bring us to 20. The reason we stop at 10 is because in 4th grade, our divisor is only going to be one digit. If they ever give you a 10, 11, a 12, those 2-digit numbers, they're expecting you to use the related multiplication fact. So you should know your facts through 12s for that reason, especially because sometimes they will give you a 2-digit divisor, which would be maybe a 10, 11, or a 12. But the other reason we stop at 10 is because we all know our 10s. We've practiced them lots of times in class. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. We know our 10s. So in case we don't know our multiplication facts and we start using repeated addition here to get our answer, if we get down here and we're not at that correct number, we'll know something's wrong. It's very important for you to take time with your quotients and multiples list, because if any of these are incorrect, then your answer is automatically going to be incorrect. So this would be our traditional way of solving, but what we're going to do today is break our number down by place value. So let's rewrite it up here so we can see it. 324 divided by 2. Remember, that's just another way to write it. We look at, when we set it up, how many digits there are in the number. There are 3 digits in the number. So we're going to need 3 boxes, or we should say rectangles, if we're going to be mathematically correct, because there are 3 digits, a hundreds place, a tens place, and a ones place, and that's what they're going to represent. So we're going to put 2 into 324. We write the whole number in that first box, but again, remember that's the hundreds place, so we're only going to deal with this front digit to begin with. Then we'll look at that first digit, just like we did with our traditional method of solving division problems, and see how many times does 2 go into 3. Well, an easy way to do that is take that 3 and go down this multiples list and see how close you can get to 3 without going over. Remember, you can get right to 3, that will be fine, but you cannot get any higher than 3. You can't put it in groups that have more than 3 because you only have 3. So you would stop here at 2. That's as close as you can get. Well, what is the quotient that goes with that? That's one group of 2 makes 2. So you put the 1 up here over the hundreds place, because that's the digit we're dealing with. And then remember, these become zeros because, again, it's the hundreds place. We're breaking it down by place value and subtracting it out using that place value to help us. So one group of 2 is 2. Put that 2 under here, but we're not just looking at that digit. We're looking at all 3 of them. So we have to put, again, zeros to hold the place. And then it's repeated subtraction. So we're just going to subtract. 4 minus 0 is 4. 2 minus 0 is 2. And 3 minus 2 is 1. We'll now take that number and move it up into this next box, 124. Now we take that 124, again, this is the hundreds place, this is the tens place, so we're going to deal with those first 2 digits because we're looking to the tens place, okay? Just looking at those first 2 digits, we won't even look at this 4 here. We take that 12 down the multiples and quotients list. See how close we can get without going over? Well, we can get right to 12. How many groups of 2 is that? It's 6 groups of 2. So the 6 goes up here over that tens place and put a 0 here to hold that ones place, because we can't just put that 6 by itself since we're dealing with the tens place. Next, we look again at the quotient. We did the quotient. Look at the multiple that goes with it. It's 12. Focusing on that tens place, we put the 12 underneath and a 0 here for the ones place. And then, again, division is repeated subtraction, so we subtract. 4 minus 0 is 4. 2 minus 2 is 0. And 1 minus 1 is 0. We won't put the zeros in front because we don't put zeros in front of a number unless it's a decimal where we put a lead 0. Now we take that 4 over to the next box. This one is easy because it's a single digit and it's the ones place, so we don't have to look at anything but it because it's just in the ones place. And I'm sorry, I should have made that smaller. I didn't leave room to put anything below it. So we take that 4, go down the quotients and multiples list again, and see how close we can get. We can get right to 4, which is 2 groups of 2. We put our 2 up over top. There's the quotient goes up, the multiple goes down. So it's similar to the steps that we were taking in traditional long division with putting the quotient up and the multiple down. And then we subtract. 4 minus 4 is 0. So we have nothing left here. And then we just put our place value back together, the hundreds, the tens, and the ones. So our answer is 100 plus 60 plus 2, which is 162. Okay, we're going to try this one again, and I'm going to show you how it looks if you have a leftover or what we call a remainder. Again, it's a pretty easy process because we're just subtracting. And I'm going to use the same divisor just to make it easier so we won't have to do a new quotients and multiples list. We'll just start from here. And I'll fix up what I mess up. Again, you use whatever strategy works best for you. This is not what you have to use. You can use whatever you feel works best for you. So this time we'll do 421 divided by 2. Again, the 2 is the divisor. We put it out here. 421 goes in the box. There's 3 rectangles because we have 3 place values, a 100, a tens, and a ones. So we take that first digit in the hundreds place, down the quotients and multiples list. How close can we get? We can get to 4, which is 2 groups of 2. We put the 2 up, use the zeros to hold the place. The multiple goes down, which is 4. Put the zeros to hold the place, and then we subtract. 1 minus 0 is 1. 2 minus 0 is 2. And we don't put the lead 0 because it's the whole number. But we move the 21 up into the next box. 21 is already a 10, so we don't have to worry about where to put it this time. It's not going to be confusing. We take that 21 down our quotients and multiples list. How close can we get? Ooh, look where we can get to 20, which is 10. Quotient up, multiple down, and subtract, and we get 1. We move that 1 up into the next box. How many times does 2 go into 1? We still take it down the quotients and multiples list, but look, we can't get any farther than 0. Quotient up, multiple goes down, and we subtract. 1 minus 0 is 1. We've done all our steps. We have the hundreds place, the tens place, the ones place, but we still have this guy left over at the end. So that will become our remainder. Remainders are written with a capital R because when you take your test, they're going to insist that you type it in with a capital R and it won't be counted as correct if you don't. Again, we broke it apart. Now we're going to put it back together. 200 plus 10 plus 0 is 210, so your answer is 210, remainder 1. And that's it. We'll try some more in class. I hope this helps, and I will see you in class.